Jay here for Stretford, Paddock. This is it. It's the Premier League preview. This weekend, Joe, who've we got?
Wolves.
Wolverhampton, the big
Wanderers.
Yes, that's Joe Smith. I'm Jay Motti. This preview is brought to you by BetMate, the fantasy football app. We'll be getting into a bit more of that later on. The top four race, Joseph, is hotting up.
Hot, spice.
Hot. One thing that worries me about this situation is we're doing all right at the minute. Big winner against Fulham, last minute winner by Garnacho just before that insignificant little tournament, that international thing. We come back in the Premier League, big win against Forest, pretty solid performance, despite having one or two players out. Wolves, you think to yourself, we can do Wolves. I just have this worry that these are the sort of games where you come unstuck a little bit. It's a draw, and with the top four race being as it is, you can't really afford to be dropping too many points against the likes of Wolves.
No, because there's about 8 teams going for top four.
I know.
It's almost like unlike any other season, really, where the teams that are still going for it, like the likes of Chelsea and Liverpool, and obviously United, you'd expect them to be in it. But then there's also now Arsenal are at the top of the league. You've got Newcastle involved. You've got Brighton, who seem to be sort of chipping in and not losing many games either. So you've got teams in there who like Newcastle have not been in the top four conversation since 2012 or whatever it was when Pardew finished 5th with them. Like it's been a very long time since since we've had this many teams going for it. So normally I would say, and I still think to a certain extent, you can drop a lot of points and still get top four because that's the whole nature of these teams. They're not good enough to win the league. They drop a lot of points. But at the minute, it's like, if you drop points, it's not going to be Chelsea and Newcastle and Tottenham and Liverpool and Brighton and Arsenal and City. They're not all going to drop points. No. So someone's going to catch you up or pull away from you. So, yeah, it's a tricky situation United are in at the minute. We were looking just before this. United have, in the last 13 games, have won 14 games, have won 11, drawn 2, and lost only 1. So we're obviously on really good form at the moment. But again, like you said, this is the sort of game where you just think, they've got a new manager. We saw what happened against Villa when Emery had just come in, just basically overran us in the first 25, 30 minutes. We need to make sure that doesn't happen again because, he's a good manager, Lopetegui.
Yeah, he is, and obviously we've faced him before when he was at Sevilla in the Europa League, and that semi-final. We were just talking about that before off camera, and that was a really frustrating time because we got to all them semi-finals, didn't we, under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in his first full season. It looked like at one point we could be in for a bit of silverware, and then the wheels just came off. Despite the fact I agree with everything we said, and you look at Wolves and they've got a new manager and it could be a tricky one, when I see a player like Casemiro in my team, I always feel confident we're going to win. Yeah, he's just unreal in it.
He is, and he's been a big part of that. That run that I'm talking about there coincides with Casemiro coming into the first team properly. So that's since he started, pretty much starting every game that is available. He's just unbelievable. Yeah, and the other day, it summed it up perfectly, I think. Winning the ball back, reading the game well, intercepting / tackling against Forest, and then playing that ball to Fred. But the thing that when I say it sums him up, it's not just he can tackle, we knew that. But then to take 2 touches and look up, you've got Bruno on one side, I think it was Rashford straight in front of him as well, or another United player, that are more in line with where he can see his vision. It's on the same side of the pitch as he is. And then over on the left-hand side, you've got Fred, who's open. But if you're just some I tackle ball, I make short pass player, like people tried to tell us Casemiro was, he's not seeing that pass. He's certainly not making it inch perfect the way he did. So that even Fred, who, no offence to him, isn't the greatest finisher in the world, could just step onto it and pass it in the back of the net. He's so much more of a well-rounded player than even I thought he was. And we've done videos on this channel talking about how, the work he did to help and sort of give the ball to Modric and Kroos at Real Madrid. But he's also excellent on the ball, and Semra Hunter said that to us when we spoke to him. Yeah. He's an accomplished ball player as well. And the fact that we're seeing that, he's played centre-back, he's done this, he's done that. He's just one of those players where you just go, he's almost too good for us. Like, we're a team that has not won a title or not won a trophy in 5 years, not won a title in 9 years, and we've got, I would say, either arguably, definitely, or I would say inarguably, the best defensive midfielder in the world. Yeah. And it's making such a difference at the minute.
It is. It's like he reads the game like Michael Carrick did, but he also is able to sprint and put in a tackle like Primo Inagri used to in that one season where he was mint for Manchester United. He's just got the perfect mix. And you can see the influence he has on players around him. He's had that sort of Bruno effect. When Bruno came in, I think it was against Wolves actually, his debut, when you could see him shouting at players, motivating other players. Casemiro's not necessarily shouting at everyone, but you can see him raising the standards around him by his performance.
And also that thing of like, people talk about it all the time in football, but because you can't put it down to a stat, you don't see it as much on social media, you don't see it as much in the sort of current discourse around football, which is very much stat and Twitter based.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But bringing someone in that has won as much as he has, the mentality of, no, we just don't lose games.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like, a lot of our players, and I'm not saying they're happy to do this, but I think they've never known anything other than you win 6, you draw 1, you lose 2. You win 6, you draw 1, you lose 2. That gets you top 4. People like Casemiro, people like Varane, Ronaldo had it, obviously that's gone the way it has. But these sorts of players come in and go, you can just win 20 games in a row. That's possible because they did it.
Yeah.
Remember like 2 years ago when Real Madrid won 23 games in a row?
Yeah.
Like, he knows how to do that. And bringing that to the team, you can't put it down to a stat. There's no mentality stat or how he affects the dressing room stat, but it's obvious that it's happening. We're seeing these players improve around him, and having players like that in the dressing room is absolutely invaluable, especially for certain players that, for us, have either not won trophies since they've been mainstays of the team or have just never won any trophies. Someone like Casemiro and Varane as well are just so important for that.
It's mad that we've got such a good defensive midfielder, and now when everyone's fit, we've got such an amazing centre-back pairing as well. That unit is so good. We know that there's still question marks on whether certain players are going to be available. With all that in mind, give us your predicted 11 for the trip to Molineux.
Yeah, so it's as close to the last game as you're going to get, really. The front 6 is exactly the same. I think other than Anthony, who was pretty poor, I think they all did pretty okay. Again, Martial had a quieter game, but I keep saying Van Gaal, Ten Hag, after the game the other day, basically insinuated that he was resting Martial for the game of the weekend because his fitness hasn't been great this season. He thought 2 90 minutes Wednesday and Saturday wouldn't be helpful, so I guess he's going to play. Anthony's the only one that you'd question, but then there's this whole Sancho situation, which we'll get into on another video, I'm sure, but we're getting to the point now with that Sancho thing where I've never seen this in football before. A player who, by all accounts, hasn't been injured, who has been sent away on physical and mental sort of well-being. He's now been out for 7 weeks since he last played for Manchester United. I've never seen that before.
No.
He's not even in. He couldn't even make the squad against a championship team to kind of reintroduce. He's not even ready for that yet. So, with that in mind, I don't see any other option other than Anthony. And that back 4, we're just getting inch by inch closer to what we know Ten Hag's first choice is. Obviously, Wan-Bissaka keeps his place because it seems like Dalot might still be out. But other than that, I think that front 6 pretty much picks itself, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, everything you've said makes a lot of sense. I've been impressed with Wan-Bissaka when he's come back into the team. He was almost the forgotten man. With Sancho, listen, I know what you mean. 7 weeks is a long time. If it takes whatever it takes.
Yeah, of course. And I back him, by the way. I think Sancho will come back and do well for Manchester United.
And it's actually maybe a little bit of joined up thinking from Manchester United for once.
Yeah.
Because far too often we've thrown players in who are mentally or physically not ready or not fit. And it's cost us those, we were talking about all those semi-finals that we lost. We were playing players who were absolutely knackered. Yeah. And it showed. No, that makes sense. We'll go to my team. I think it's just a little bit different in the sense that I understand Martinez, he's back in training. I just wonder whether Ten Hag might just go, let's have another week or let's have another few days before the games are coming thick and fast. You're not quite there yet. I'll go with Maguire. I know there was an argument being made that Maguire wasn't, some people, I'm not saying they were ITK, just fans' opinions going, Ten Hag doesn't rate him at all. That's why he plays Shaw at centre-back, even though Maguire was on the bench and eventually came on. It's just a case of not necessarily fitness. It's tactics. He doesn't think he's good enough. I'm not so sure. I think that if Maguire is 100% fit, I think Ten Hag trusts him enough, especially against the team. No disrespect to Wolves. You think that Harry Maguire, with Casemiro in front of him and Rafael Varane next to him, can do a job against Wolves. Yeah. And if he can, then he's got absolutely no business being at Manchester United, let alone being the captain of the club. In terms of the opposition, one player who we know very well, we've been linked with him, and he always does a job on us, is Ruben Neves.
Yeah. The bastard.
Yeah. Now, he's a player here who's having a decent season. I think he's 4 goals so far this season, creating chances. Wolves have obviously not having the best season, but he's been all right.
Yeah.
Is he a player that you look at and you go, he's someone you got to be wary of?
I don't know why he's still there.
Yeah.
I think he's only 24 now. He's one of those people who's deceptively young because he started playing for them when he was like 19. But Wolves have had good seasons and bad seasons, but he's surely a player that should be playing in the Champions League.
Yeah.
He's a good controlled midfielder who's great range of passing. You see some of his stats there. He's got the highest amount of interceptions in the Wolves squad. He's good defensively as well. I'm surprised he's stuck around as long as he had. Especially when you see players like Adama Traore going to Barcelona. I know he don't play for him, but like people making moves away from Wolves. Anyway, he's a good player. He's stung United a couple of times in the past, passing the ball in the back of the net from 20 yards. We need to make sure that doesn't happen again, because it's becoming like a weird like Danny Murphy thing with him, where every time he plays against us, he fucking scores for some reason.
He's very good, because on BetMate, at the fantasy football at BetMate, you do get points for things like interceptions. He's a high scorer. With that in mind, I'm going to talk about BetMate a little bit. Talk us through BetMate, what it is, and we'll get into your team.
Well, yeah, BetMate is a fantasy football app where it's not just as basic as some of these other apps where it's, oh, did he score? No, well, he's crap then. Interceptions, tackles, proper stats get used to work out how you get these points. It's powered by Opta, so they're not just making it up. It's like, finally, someone is using the actual stats of a football match to give points in fantasy football rather than great goal, 5 points, no goals, no points.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's actually using the game of football in a more complete way. Let's get my team up on the screen. This is what I've gone for this week. You can join this pot. It's only £3 and you can win up to £450. And if you haven't even signed up yet, this is perfect. Use the code Paddock10, and if you enter any paid pot, you get a £10 free bet. Paddock10, and that 10 is because of the £10 free bet. So use the code Paddock10 when you sign up. Here's my team. I'm just going to point something out there. I've put Moutinho in. Meant to put Ruben Neves in.
I was about to say, we've bigged up Ruben Neves. Yeah. We've established how effective he is. Yeah. And you've gone with Raul Moutinho, who is a very good player, by the way. Yeah. And I was a bit surprised when he went to Wolves.
Meant to put Neves in there, but the rest of the team stands. I'll change that. Do you know the great thing is? You can change it right up until kickoff. None of this like, oh, it's Friday night, so it's your cut off. No, 1 minute before kickoff, I'm changing it. So I'm putting Neves in there. I was causing
dramas at Old Trafford the other week, holding up the turnstile because I was
good.
I was getting a signal.
That's what it should be. It's like
I can change my team here.
Yeah, some of these it's like you have to fill it in the paper and post it in by Wednesday, otherwise you won't get
the Ravens.
It's up to date. So I've got De Gea, Shaw, Varane, Casemiro, and you see I've got him captain there because interceptions, tackles, and his sort of penchant for turning up with a little shot or a header or a goal every now and then puts him over the edge for me. I think Casemiro is the one to watch.
No, it makes a lot of sense other than the Moutinho thing, which you've explained. Go to my team there. You'll see mine makes more sense because I've got Ruben Neves in there. I've got Bruno Fernandes as my captain because I don't know. I fancy he might get a goal against Wolves. And I know you get points for all other things, interceptions and tackles and stuff like that, but you do get a lot of points for goals as well. And Marcus Rashford, who's on fire, I've made him vice captain, and I've stuck a load of, Wolves players on the bench because you can only pick 6 players from one team. So I've got my 6 Manchester United players in there. You've had some success on BetMate, haven't you? You won a load of money the other week.
I won quite a lot of hundreds of pounds, actually, Jay. So when you're going to catch up, you do it differently to me because I like to win loads, whereas you go by the sort of
a war of attrition.
Yeah, you're picking up money every week because that's the great thing. It's not just like one person wins everything. If you finish in the top sort of few places, you're picking up.
You're
cash.
just like Ollie as caretaker, right? You've had that burst, and it's all going to come. I'm like Fergie.
Yeah, from the Black Eyed Peas. Right, thank you very much to BetMate for sponsoring the show. Make sure you use the code Paddock10 to get £10 in free bets when you sign up and enter any paid pot.
With everything we've discussed, with Wolves, with our form, with Casemiro, with the race for the top 4, with Ruben Neves, with all that in mind, my friend, what is your score prediction?
I worry a bit for this game. I worried about the Forest game. I worried about the Burnley game. I'm not going to stop worrying now just because we've won a couple of matches. I feel like we're getting to a point as a club where we tend to beat the teams we're better than, which seems a bit no-brainerish, but that's actually how you win league titles.
It's not no-brainerish for Manchester United.
It's also, that's what I mean. If you can consistently beat every team below you in the league, you will win the league. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Because that, obviously that's how it works. So I think we'll beat them, but I won't be surprised if it was a draw. I'm going to go 2-1 United because I think we'll have enough to turn him over. But he's a good manager. We've got that new manager bounce that we saw against Villa, and it fucked us. 2-1 Manchester United. I
called that disgusting, but to be honest with you, I'm a little bit worried. I don't know, maybe I'm getting pessimistic in my old age. I was worried when we were 2-0 up against Forest. I thought we were going to throw away. I don't know what's up with me. I'm going to go for a draw. It stinks a bit of a draw.
Yeah,
Wolves
it does.
away. I hope I'm wrong, obviously. And I do like this team, and I do think there's, we are a lot better than Wolves. But like you said, Lopetegui's a decent manager. They have got some good players. I just feel like the games might be catching up a little bit with us because you've got the World Cup now. You've got these fixtures coming thick and fast. It might just be one of those where it's a little bit frustrating. Obviously, I hope I'm wrong. Get involved.
What are you saying then? What score?
1-0, sorry.
1-0.
A draw 1-0. I'm going to go 1-0, and I'd love to be proven wrong at Manchester United just to steamroll Wolves. Make sure you go and check out BetMate. There's a link in the description. Get involved with that as well. Big thanks to them for sponsoring the show. Where can people find you?
In Dublin on the 30th of December. Tickets still available. Link in the description. Check them out. Come along. Get them as a late Christmas present. Make sure you come and check us out. Me, Stephen Howson, Adam McCullough, Jay Motti, and Brian McClare will be doing our first ever live show in Dublin, 30th of December. Come and check it out. It's tomorrow. Come down. If you're nearby, come down.
Come down. Much appreciated if you can show us that support. That's been Joe Smith. I've been Jay Motti. This has been the Premier League preview. Thanks for watching.